Hey everybody, Red Ratchet here. So we're here today for a different video. Yes, I will be ranking all of the Ratchet and Clank games. This is just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's totally cool, so don't get too offended. If you're offended, just comment down below, and let's get started. Ratchet and Clank 1. So, Ratchet and Clank 1 has a special place in my heart, mostly due to the fact that it is the first time I was exposed to the series, and it's the first video game that I've ever played, ever. And I've played at least 200 video games. So, yeah, I have a lot of, I guess, love and nostalgia for this game. Now, there's a lot of reasons why, and this is, I guess, somewhat of an underrated opinion, why this game is my most favorite in the entire series. It's mostly due to the fact that the gameplay, no matter what time it is in the day, no matter what day it is in the year, I will always be able to pick it up and play it. And I feel that way for this game more than the others in the series. And along with that, I feel like it still holds up for some reason, even though this game was made in 2002, where there are some games that don't hold up as well today. But this game does. It's always fun to play. And along with that, it had great atmosphere, and it was really one of the most fun games to own on the PlayStation 2. It also had the best soundtrack, in my opinion, compared to every other game in the series. And along with that, even some of the things that people didn't like how the difficulty was notched up in this game, I found it to be quite enjoyable. And it was just a lot more fun, I think. And fun is really the best word to describe this game. Even the hoverboard racing was fun to me, and even the Clank gameplay was entertaining. It was always a fun ride, and the pacing was great. The only problem, I guess I would say, is just Ratchet's voice acting. It can be kind of weird because this is the only game in the entire series where Ratchet isn't voiced by James Arnold Taylor. Yes, he's actually voiced by Mikey Kelly. So that might be a little weird for some people who played other games in the series, but to me, still to this day, this is a fun game and very enjoyable. The next entry in the franchise is really great. This is the one that actually starts a lot of the brand new gameplay mechanics that is used throughout the entire series, like weapons upgrading by using them, armor, and of course, more unique weapons. But this one actually isn't my favorite, and like I said before, the first Ratchet and Clank is my favorite, and this is mostly due to the fact of the spaceship missions and racing missions in this game. I never found them very fun, and they weren't very enjoyable, and I feel like it kind of ruined the pacing in the game. I never really thought about pacing all that much in games until somewhat recently, and that's probably one of the reasons why I love the original so much, and it's just because of pacing. This game, though, however, has some great aspects about it. Like, I did enjoy the story. It was very unique, and I did like the brand new characters like Angela Cross and the villain. You know, it was pretty cool though. Along with that though, I do find this game to be a little bit overrated, and it also wasn't as great when it came to music and the planets. Don't get me wrong, the planets and the music is fantastic, but I find them to be somewhat overrated, and many people kind of overexposing them to a point where I just kind of yeah, that's why I'm not as big of a fan of Ratchet 2, but it's still one of my favorites, so yeah. I am gonna get so much hate after this video. Ratchet and Clank 3, or Up Your Arsenal. This is the Ratchet game that many fans and critics call the peak of the series, and I don't disagree. This is probably the most refined Ratchet game when it comes to the gameplay. There's great weapons. It's probably the most unique from the previous games. Something I really enjoyed were the brand new characters. Like, I did love seeing the Galactic Rangers, Dr. Nefarious, and Lawrence. They were great. However, There are lots of flaws in this game, and I see barely anyone pointing them out, so I'm gonna point them out, and you're probably gonna get offended. Please don't kill me. Here we go. The planets, while the planets are okay, and like I already had bashed Ratchet 2's planets, these planets are kind of worse, mostly due to the fact that the atmosphere is really gone. Like, I feel like there's only a few levels in this game where it's actually good, and the rest are just, it's so bland, it's so dry. I just don't enjoy that very much. And if you compare Ratchet 1's levels and planets to Ratchet 3's, you can see the difference. I mean, look at Veldin right here. This is one of the reasons why I just really didn't like Ratchet 3. Another, just a small flaw that I really didn't like was Sasha. She doesn't do anything. Comparing Sasha to Angela is like comparing a really good piece of toast to like lasagna. Like, so I don't like Sasha. And along with that, another just quick thing, I didn't like the Galactic Ranger missions. I felt like it was a weird pacing, and along with that, they reused Ratchet 1 and Ratchet 2 music. No one points this out, I don't know why, and this is why I didn't like this game. Yeah. This is a game that fans either love or hate, and honestly, I'm kind of in between. I like the atmosphere in Ratchet Deadlocked, because it's somewhat dark, and it kind of reminds me of Ratchet 1 and 2's atmosphere, which was really good, but I feel like this game is kind of off. Like, the planets weren't as memorable, and they actually reused a few planets, and I didn't even notice. It took a page out of Up Your Arsenal's book and did this weird vehicle pacing thing again, and the music, while it's good, didn't really stick in my mind for some reason. Some of these reasons might be because this is the latest Ratchet and Clank game that I've beaten, so maybe that's why, but yeah. I did enjoy the characters and the overall story, and I did feel like it was an improvement compared to previous entries, but it still feels kind of weird for some people to say this is the best in the series, and while others say it's the worst. Overall, I think it's decent, and I did think it had a great, like, co-op sort of Ratchet experience. It's probably the best co-op Ratchet experience, but, yeah, I can't see why people say this is the best, and why some people say it's the worst, so, yeah. Going mobile. Do I really need to talk about this one? This is the only Ratchet game that I've never played, and I doubt I'll ever play it. It's the only game in the entire series that's 2D, and while I'll give it credit for how unique and quite bizarre it is, I don't think it's a game that anyone knows or really should care for. I don't think that even half of you knew that this game existed, so there's really no point in going over this game. I don't know why it's here. Size matters. While this game gets a lot of hate, I personally think it's a decent Ratchet experience. It's by far a must-have for the PSP, and it definitely translated somewhat well gameplay-wise. At least for the PSP version. I will say, however, it's not very memorable. The villain sucks, the weapons aren't really exciting, the levels, what are the levels? The music is super forgettable, and honestly, I don't even remember anything in this game. But I will say that I really enjoyed how armor worked in this game. Tools of Destruction. The first entry on the PS3, and it's awesome. Personally, to me, this game is somewhat underrated in the community. Many fans point to Ratchet 2, 3, or the later, A Crack in Time, games to be their favorite, but I barely see anyone say that this game is their favorite. Anyways, Tools of Destruction is awesome. The gameplay is great, the story is much better compared to previous installments, and the brand new characters are awesome and interesting. I like the music, but it's not as good as the other games, and I do feel like there wasn't as much effort or thought really put into this game, probably due to the fact that Insomniac was also working on Resistance. The other thing I really didn't like was the 6-axis moments. They were very unneeded and out of place. This game is personally the lowest and worst time Ratchet and Clank has ever gotten to me. The music isn't memorable, The brand new characters aren't memorable. Playing as 3 characters was kind of off, and I don't even remember what some of the planets were like. And the thing that hurt the most, by far, was the gameplay and weapons. The gameplay for Clank turned into a Sly Cooper type of gameplay mixed in with quick time events and Dance Dance Revolution moments that I just totally didn't care for. The Ratchet gameplay was okay, but it was really generic and uninspiring compared to even the other worst Ratchet games. Quark's gameplay is also very predictable and not special or interesting either. Anyways, I hate this one. Ugh! Quest for Booty is basically a short version of Tools of Destruction, except it focuses entirely on Ratchet and Tallwing, which is a pretty interesting concept. While being extremely short, I very much enjoyed this game and the brand new game mechanics added on top of that. The levels were also way more memorable than anything in Secret Agent Clank, so I'm thankful for that. And this is actually the game where those fun wrench mechanics were introduced and the different Omni-Wrench look. It's not an amazing game, but I do love the personality and the effort that was put in this compared to other games in the series. And the only other thing that I'd say I disliked about this game, besides the length, was how the weapons were all just from Tools of Destruction, and there weren't really any unique weapons that came out of this game. My personal favorite game on the PS3. It's fantastic. Has the best story in the entire series, only being rivaled by Tools of Destruction, and also one of the best gameplay-wise and best graphic-wise, in my opinion. This game also has great brand new characters, and it brings back fan-favorite characters like Dr. Nefarious and Lawrence. There are a few reasons why it's not my favorite, and that's mostly due to the fact, like, some of the planets being rehashes from older planets we have seen already, and the fact that we see the combustor for the 3rd time now. Other than that, I enjoyed a lot of the new elements put in, and how they kept in elements from the gameplays from Quest for Booty and Tools of Destruction. It's a great improvement. You didn't expect this on here, but here it is. From what I've played of PlayStation Move, it's pretty much just a generic mini-game that features Ratchet and Clank. It's not awful, and it uses the Move controller pretty well, but considering how this was supposed to be a crossover between Ratchet, Jak, and Sly, this is pretty disappointing. However, it doesn't really affect the series so much, so there's not really much else to say about this game. All for One. All for One gets way too much hate. That's all I need to say. Just kidding. Anyways, All for One is actually a pretty great game. The music is decent, and I actually thought that the character models were fine. I also like the idea of a co-op Ratchet game. However, I do have quite a few grudges against this game. It's probably one of the most popular in the entire series, being the 11th most sold PS3 game. Holy crap. And of course the gameplay. You see, Insomniac tried to change the gameplay so all players could see what they're doing on one screen, but honestly, I would have just preferred Insomniac to stick with what Deadlocked and Up Your Arsenal did for multiplayer. Other than that, All for One is just kind of there. The Ratchet and Clank collection. Not much to say here. If you want to experience pretty much the best Ratchet and Clank games on PS3, that's about it. It's nearly identical to their PS2 counterparts. The only issue I found with this port was really just some glitches, but if you can get behind that, this collection is amazing, and I feel like if you get a PS3, this is a must-have. Yes, I did put PlayStation Allstars on here. Yes, I do secretly want an Allstars too. Anyways, this game is pretty fun, and the fact that you could play as Ratchet and be able to beat up pretty much all of the PlayStation characters is really awesome. And I thought that I'd at least mention this game here. Is it a must-have? No. Unless you love fighting games and PlayStation, you really don't need to get this game. But I thought it would be nice to point out. Full Frontal Assault. Full Frontal Assault is usually considered the worst of all the Ratchet and Clank games, and I don't blame fans. It's a tower defense Ratchet game. Like, that is pretty weird on its own. However, the gameplay is fine, the graphics are fine, and the music is pretty good. I also liked how they brought back Versus multiplayer after like 8 years. It's super short, has an awful villain, dumb planets, stupid enemies, and honestly, it's just a really weird game overall, and I understand why some fans say it's the worst. The other mobile game. I have actually played this one, and well, it's not terrible, but it's generic. This honestly is probably the worst Ratchet game, but it doesn't exactly affect the series. It was mostly made to just advertise for Into the Nexus, and all it is a Temple Run, or Sonic Dash clone, with not very great graphics. Other than that, it's pretty harmless, and I understand this one more for being the worst Ratchet game. Into the Nexus. Personally, I love Into the Nexus. It had tons of potential, and in my opinion, it has more personality and creativity than probably half of the entire series. Anyways, I love that this game brought back Talwyn and Kronk and Zephyr. They were fun characters in Tools of Destruction, and it was very enjoyable, at least to me, to see them again. I also really love the new villains in this game. Unlike Full Frontal Assault or Size Matters, Vendra and Neptune Prague are awesome villains, and I adore their designs. The only flaws I really had with this game was the fact that the combustor is there again, are you kidding me? And that the game was somewhat short in length. However, I can kind of look past that with the awesome replay value that previous games had. That kind of went away since All for One. This game. Oh man, as a huge fan of the original, I'm not going to lie that this game totally disappointed me. And this is entirely why I want Insomniac to make a game after Into the Nexus rather than this game. The gameplay is good in this game. I love the graphics and how far this series has come. I also really enjoyed seeing older planets that I love return in new form. However, this game has so many flaws, and I can't believe only a few people have pointed them out. The music, while being fine, is super generic, which is really weird because this composer gave us great music from Into the Nexus, Full Frontal Assault, and All for One. Along with that, I really hate seeing the Combustor and Groovatron for the billionth time here. Don't get me wrong, I love these weapons, but dude, seriously, along with that, this game did a pretty terrible job at remaking the original game. It's not difficult at all. Like the original, it doesn't have any options for the older music. It even cuts out entire planets from the original. Like, what's the deal? I miss Orxon. The new characters are all super bland and do nothing. How did Bella Thorne get into Ratchet and Clank? What are you doing? Get out! Anyways, I liked the idea of putting in elements from other games, like having Dr. Nefarious in here, but they killed off Drek for no reason. It was so unneeded and really quite stupid. Drek in the original was super intimidating. He was a great villain and he was super cool, but overall, I think this game is alright. I probably nitpicked this way more just because I adore the original, and this game is fine. I just don't understand why it's praised as much as it is. Now that we're at the end, let's rank all of the games together. So, number 18 is... You didn't expect this, did you? Also, I'm sorry for headphone users. Well, all I really have to say is the movie is decent. It's similar to the 2016 game, I just found it alright. I didn't like how they didn't go in depth with Ratchet and Clank's relationship, and I especially didn't like how they were barely anything relating to the original at all. There was just nothing relating to the original. It's still a fun movie, and I did like Alaris as a character. Probably the most relatable character, but they didn't do great justice for this movie. It's fun, and I don't think it deserves the amount of hate that it got, because after rewatching it a few times, it's still a fine movie, and it's probably the best video game-based movie so far, at least in my opinion. So, here you are at the final part of the video, and I'm going to go backwards and say what my last place is, all the way to first. 19th place is Secret Agent Clank. 18th place is Before the Nexus. 17th place is Going Mobile. 16th place is PlayStation Move Heroes. 15th is PlayStation Allstars. 14th is Full Frontal Assault. 13th is The Movie. 12th is the 2016 game. 11th is Quest for Booty. 10th is Size Matters. 9th, All for One. 8th, Ratchet Deadlocked. 7th, Into the Nexus. 6th, the Ratchet and Clank Collection. 5th, Ratchet 3. 4th, Tools of Destruction. 3rd, Ratchet and Clank 2. 2nd, A Crack in Time. And 1st, Ratchet and Clank 1. Thank you all for watching this really long video. I've been meaning to make this for a long time, and it's okay if you disagree with my opinions, and I was actually pretty harsh. I actually love pretty much every single Ratchet and Clank game, even games that I don't care about, like Going Mobile. I still love them because it's Ratchet and Clank, but overall, I just hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe you can say what your opinion is on each Ratchet and Clank game in the comments, or the games that you played. So yeah, have a good day.